President and CEO of the Mattie Rhodes Center. Joining me tonight is our Director of Administration, David Stadler, who will talk to you more specifically about the request. What I want to do, just in the short time that we have, is just kind of paint the picture about who Mattie Rhodes Center is. But tonight we're here to talk to you a little bit about the $25,000 request that will be used for a security system renovation from our Northeast facility. Many of you may know, but Mattie Rhodes Center is now in its 119th year of operation. We are a metropolitan-wide agency that started with a $500 contribution by a philanthropist much like yourself, Mattie Florence Rhodes, who at the age of 19 died of typhoid fever, but before doing so pledged $500 to continue the work of her Sunday school friends called the Little Cleaners to help the needy and poor of Kansas City. So here we are over 119 years later, and we continue to work in those neighborhoods where there's a high level of poverty and need. Today we are in the Argentine neighborhood of Wyandotte County, the Westside neighborhood of Kansas City, Missouri, and the historic Northeast part of Kansas City, Missouri. And tonight the request before you focuses in on the facility in the Northeast area. And without getting into too much detail, the particular programs that are offered from that facility include supportive services for women who are victims of domestic violence, after-school program for neighborhood youth, as well as health and wellness activities that include Zumba, healthy eating education programs, etc. The Northeast neighborhood, I don't know how familiar each of you are with that area. What was once one of the most popular areas of our city where many of Kansas City's affluent live has really changed over the last 30 to 40 years. It's really become an area where safety is certainly a concern not only for the residents, but the staff that work at Mattie Rhodes Center. In 2011, 57% of all the kidnappings and abduction arrests occurred in the East and Central Patrol precincts, and the Northeast is a part of those two patrol areas. 2 years ago, at one particular intersection alone, yielded 60 aggravated assaults. Also, more than a third of the residents that we have surveyed recently said that they felt unsafe in their own neighborhood. And just in the news this past summer, there were 2 high school girls that were nearly abducted walking from Northeast High School, which is probably within 2 blocks of our particular facility. So again, the neighborhood certainly offers a lot of challenges. And annually, we serve about 3,000 individuals from that Northeast area through those services that I mentioned. Our request to you today, again, is for a security system renovation. Safety is certainly very important to our agency. We want to ensure that clients can come in, feel welcome, and be safe, and for that matter, our staff. We want to make sure that their safety is certainly a high priority. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to David, and he'll talk specifically to the request before you.
Thanks, John. Knowing that with safety, that can be a very reactive topic, and in doing so, and looking at what we wanted to accomplish at the building, we wanted to ensure safety for the participants we serve and the staff that work for Mattie Rhodes. And knowing that, we engaged our safety committee at the agency. In addition, we engaged the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, who actually came in, walked the building with us, talked about safety protocols, and talked about what could we do as an agency within that building to create the greatest amount of safety. And given that, it was determined that a security system would best serve everyone. And to understand that, you really need to understand what kind of building we are working in right now. It's about a 17,000 square foot building that has been retrofitted. It used to be an old Sunday school building. It's got probably, and I'm exaggerating, I wish I had my keys with me, about 1,000 doors within the building. It's very old. There's a key for everything. In doing so, we've had to retrofit certain things to meet our needs. And some of those needs are to ensure, prior to us coming to the building, there were no fire doors that closed off each of the floors. And given the monies we had at the time, it only allowed for us to put keyed-in installations. So, and in some, we weren't able to even place fire doors at some of the levels. And one of those levels was in the basement area. And given that, when people walk in, we've encountered 2 issues actually. One, due to the fact there's not an emergency release bar on the back door, two instances in particular. We had an instance where we had a youth that was participating within our youth programming, bypassed the front office area, went to the basement, and was actually lost within the building. We're like, where is he? Luckily, we found them. Another instance where, and for whatever reason, it's always with kids, where two individuals had propped open our back door to the agency, and then we found them videotaping them fighting in the alleyway, probably to put on YouTube or something like that. So we don't want those things to happen anymore, and we want to put systems in place to where the building is its own guide for individuals. And so you go to a door, it's naturally locked, and so it's going to guide people up to our front office area to where they can be served in that way. Some of that is just due to the complexity of the services that we do offer. It's, again, another reason why safety is important. We want to reduce any kind of unnecessary vulnerability. And similar right now, I think the most extreme example that I can give you, without doing anything to the existing features of the building, would be almost like leaving the front door to an elementary school unlocked. Given the amount of kids that we do serve and the participants that are survivors of domestic violence. And so with that, there are a couple things that we would like to accomplish. One is to replace on each of the floors, replace things with key swipes. And whether those are key swipes or key fobs, something that is more efficient right now due to the nature of how many keys and everything is keyed. We spend a considerable amount of money on whether that's replacing keys or not. If somebody loses one of their keys, and that happens, it requires us to replace every key to the individual, and it also requires us to replace locks for those as well. And so given that, we want to remove the choice of the staff to prevent error. I think as we were touring the building with some of your representatives, again, that showed the, it gave a natural inclination to think a door is going to be locked, and it's not. So we want to prevent that from happening. We also wanted to prevent the ability for somebody to come into the building and hide downstairs. We have a lot of individuals on staff, and sometimes they work late, and given the vulnerable neighborhood that we work in, then I will close it up right now. The vulnerable neighborhood we work in, we don't want to create the opportunity for somebody to be working late and something happen to them as well. So given that, we feel that the renovation project will, by upgrading that, might best serve everybody.
Thank you, David. Questions? Thanks very much.